Today we have updates on They Follow, a bunch of stuff regarding Diablo Cody and Jennifer's Body 2, as well as Scary Movie 6. Now let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I want to be a fighter, like you.
Oh, let it burn! Let it burn!
Did you miss me?
You have to shoot them in the head. They always come back.
The boat can leave now. Tell the crew.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Good luck.
Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I'm losing my voice. That's okay, we still have a ton of fun horror updates to get into today, and I can't wait to dive into them all. I'll just have to talk all low and sexy for you. If you don't already know, I am watching Dexter for the first time ever on this page, and Patreon supporters can see the uncut versions of these videos over on that platform. Become a channel member today to see these videos early, become a Patreon supporter to see the uncut versions, and thank you again to everybody who supports this page. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, you know, all those fun things. Now let's actually get into the video. Although we haven't heard much about David Robert Mitchell's sequel to It Follows, They Follow that was announced back in 2023, basically since then, Micah Monroe is saying that they are finally getting moving with some sort of production on this sequel. Talking about the project on Happy, Sad, Confused, Micah Monroe says, "We're doing it, that's my next job. It's very dark, we're pushing the boundaries on this one for sure. Even reading the script, you get the same sense of the nostalgia, the slow camera movements, everything." Micah Monroe has been in a ton of different interesting horror projects since 2014's It Follows, like Longlegs probably being the most notable thing. But something else that I thought was really cool was right before Resident Evil Requiem released in late February, she was in this like short film that was sort of like a tie-in to that story, which I thought was really dope. It's a 3-minute little short film. If you haven't seen it, it's actually really well done. Interestingly enough though, it was directed by Rich Lee, who helmed the 2025 War of the Worlds film. You know, the best movie from last year. With They Follow likely shooting this year, it will probably come out sometime in 2027. But before then, you can actually see Micah Monroe in the film Victorian Psycho. Victorian Psycho follows an eccentric governess who arrives at a remote Gothic manor, where strange happenings stir suspicion that's not what she seems. Just like American Psycho, it is also based on a novel of the same name. I'm really excited for They Follow, but I do worry about a sequel to It Follows. This is a film that I never felt needed a continuation. It has this really interesting, ambiguous ending that really makes you think, you know, was that the it in the background, or was it just some dude walking down the street? As of right now, it's left up for interpretation, but with the sequel coming through, that ambiguous ending is no longer going to be ambiguous. I think just with the existence of a sequel in the first place, it's likely that, yeah, that's a follower right there. I can't complain too much though, because It Follows might be one of my favorite modern horror films, and I'm so excited to get more of it. Stay tuned for more updates on this bad boy. You have officially made it to the Diablo Cody section of today's update video. I am so excited to talk about all this crazy shit. Diablo Cody has written a lot of really cool movies within the last couple of decades, one of them being Jennifer's Body, a very underrated little cult film that is now getting a sequel. Speaking with Bloody Disgusting's Boo Crew podcast, Diablo Cody confirms that she is writing Jennifer's Body too. She talked a little bit about this sequel too with them, saying, you know what, it actually is not a typical sequel process where you're going, here's what we're going to protect from the first movie. It's more like all the ways in which I was restrained on the first movie, I'm now unleashed. So it actually is less a feeling of being cautious and more of a feeling of being careless in the best way. Obviously, Jennifer's Body is very important to me. I love it, but I actually feel like the culture has caught up with what we were trying to do with that movie. I really loved writing the script. There's not a moment of it that felt like work, which is unusual for me these days. Cody confirms that a sequel script is done, and it's going to be a different kind of sequel than what we're used to. From the way she's talking about it here, it sounds like it's going to be a meta sort of sequel where it's kind of commenting on the failure of the original Jennifer's Body and how the public has kind of rediscovered it now. Her talking about there was things in that film that I couldn't really talk about back in the 2000s, now we can here in the 2020s. I think that's really interesting. I love when sequels feel like they can pepper something onto that original that maybe wasn't there in the first one. I think Scream 2 is such a great example of that. Maybe this can be that for Jennifer's Body. A little side note here too, it sounds like Amanda Seyfried and Megan Fox will absolutely be returning for this film. film. Amanda has even talked about it multiple times at different conventions or in different interviews, whatever. She wants to do it, and she will not do it without Megan Fox. Diablo Cody has been doing a ton of different interesting interviews lately, talking a lot about a film she produced called Forbidden Fruits. It's a horror satire film that sounds really interesting. Through all of these interviews, though, she's been talking about some of her other projects. For instance, Cody was talking a little bit about Lisa Frankenstein, a movie from a few years ago that is criminally underrated. It got a PG-13 rating, but I guess Cody really wanted it to be R. She even went so far as to say that the original R-rated vision would have been the better version of that story. Talking with the Boo Crew podcast, she said, "Of every film that I've worked on that's been defanged from R to PG-13, it breaks my heart every time. Lisa Frankenstein is the one where the R-rated version would have been superior. I wrote it as an R-rated movie. If I had known that it was definitely going to be PG-13, I would have written it as a PG-13 movie, as opposed to writing an R-rated movie and having to change the creative to accommodate the writing." There's some things about Lisa Frankenstein that maybe are a little clunky, but as it stands, I think it's one of the most underrated 2024 horror films out there. 2024 ended up being a really good year for horror, but those first 4 months were kind of rough, man. Not a whole lot of good releases. Lisa Frankenstein was a diamond in the rough during that time period. It's a lot of fun, and it's one of the best Catherine Newton performances I think ever in a horror film. I wish we could have seen that R-rated version. And maybe the craziest thing I'm learning about Diablo Cody is that I guess she did a pass on Evil Dead 2013, my favorite horror film. This also got brought up on her Boo Crew podcast episode, where she talked a little bit about the pass she did on that script, saying, "It was minor. I was surprised they had publicized my involvement. I got to talk to Bruce Campbell on the phone. Obviously, there were many reasons I wanted to be involved, but that was a thrill." She continued saying, "I did a polish. I worked on it for a few weeks. It wasn't a major rewrite or anything like that, and people were hostile about it at the time. I had so many haters at the time. I couldn't do anything. I did work on it, but not extensively. Often when there's a female protagonist, especially at that time, they would bring me in. Can you do a pass on her and make her feel a little more three-dimensional?" I think that's what my directive was. I have always felt that Mia from Evil Dead 2013 is one of the most underrated final girls of all time, and it seems like part of that is because of Diablo Cody's touch here. This is all some crazy information right here, but I am really excited for Jennifer's Body 2. Bring it on. I think that's going to be a very deserved legacy sequel. Curry Barker's Obsession has been rated R for strong bloody violence and graphic nudity, and you know what? I'll take any chance I can to talk about this film that I'm predicting is going to be one of the best horror films of 2026. It's not just the nudity or violence that makes this one rated R, there's also grisly images, sexual content, and pervasive language. Curry Barker's Obsession follows a hopeless romantic who uses a one-wish willow to win his crush's heart. He gets exactly what he asked for, but soon discovers that some desires can come at a dark, sinister price. Critics have been raving about this thing ever since its premiere at South by Southwest, in particular that the fact that this movie is much more surprising than it seems. It seems like a basic be careful what you wish for kind of story, but I guess there's a lot of surprises along the way that make it something special and something different in a familiar category. We're also hearing a ton of praise for Indy Navarrette's performance in this movie, and I really hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly there. From the trailer alone, we can see how absolutely insane she gets after this wish is made, and there's even some uncomfortable humor, which is some of my favorite. Another reason to be excited for Obsession is that originally it didn't get this R rating. Curry Barker talked about how it was going to get this NC-17 rating unless they cut 6 or 7 head smashes from the film. What? Typically, I'm impressed by just one, but that many? Okay. I seriously cannot wait for Obsession. This one drops in a month and a half on May 15th. Do not miss it. Last but certainly not least, we have an update for Scary Movie 6. A really exciting new poster has dropped from the film that tells us some of these crazy characters' new names. Some of the most interesting ones here is that we have the parody version of Megan called Mean Girl, Ghostface is Party Slasher, Art the Clown with a little tiny red baseball cap is Scarifier, Hanson is Long Legs is Short Legs, and we also have a horror villain that we've yet to see in any of the marketing so far, Blunt Force, which is of course a Squid Game character, but instead of having a triangle, square, or circle on their mask, it's a weed symbol. I wonder if this is Shorty's new dealer who makes him play deadly games in order to get his pot. That is insane. I am so here for this. I already kind of talked about this in my trailer breakdown video, but man, Scary Movie 6 is not missing a beat with some of the big horror movies of this time period. They're even hitting on some of the popular horror Netflix shows. I mean, every base is covered. Now we just need Shorty to turn the talk to me hand into a bowl, and then I'll be happy. This summer is gonna be insane for horror flicks, man. Scary Movie 6 comes out on June 5th. I am so excited for this. Bring it the fuck on. Which update from today's video has you the most excited? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.